Hello and welcome. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story, our digital platform that has been relentlessly on the ground, traveling across India, reporting the pandemic and bringing you voices from the ground. At this moment, I'm in a little village in a place called Mandya. It's 2 hours from Bangalore. We have been in both Tamil Nadu and Karnataka as we track the COVID aftermath in our smaller towns and our villages of southern India. This after we were in Uttar Pradesh last week. We're literally traveling all across India. And the one overwhelming truth that is emerging, especially from rural India, is the absence of the absence or the shortage of vaccines. Now, whether we go to primary healthcare centers in Uttarakhand, in Uttar Pradesh, or in Tamil Nadu, these are the posters that we see. Posters that basically talk about how there is no vaccine available or there is a shortage of vaccines. And what we've been finding, even among villagers that we're talking to here in the south of India, is that villagers say that they have to go to the towns and the cities if they want to get a vaccine. And they say that most people are either too scared or unable to travel to towns and cities. At a time of a lockdown. There isn't a national lockdown, but literally every state has its own lockdown. Now, this is as the human tragedy continues to be relentless. In particular, we are looking at the orphaning of small children. In fact, we're in a village where we're profiling how 3 small children have been orphaned after their mother died from COVID, the youngest among them 5 years old. It's a reminder that vaccines are the only way out of this pandemic. But given the vaccine shortage, given the declining rate of the vaccines and the vaccination in India, what are we going to do? Well, there could be some good news. Wockhardt, the pharma major, is talking about a new vaccine, a new mystery vaccine, the details of which it says will be revealed in a fortnight from now. And it is my pleasure as I sit in this little village in rural Karnataka to welcome to the program Dr. Habil Khorakiwala of Wackhardt. And welcome, sir. And it's a pleasure talking to you. And I really hope, and our viewers really hope, that you can give us some good news. And therefore, my question is, what can you tell us about this new vaccine that you say you will reveal more on, Wockhardt will reveal more on in a fortnight from now?
And the story which you just narrated, it is really a tragic story of this pandemic happening here in India, in rural India, and also in many parts of the world. As a company, Wockhardt, we are committed to do something in this direction, and we are about to sign an agreement in the next few weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, with an international company to manufacture vaccines in India. And it will be roughly about 500 million doses. It will probably be available from October onwards, small quantities, and then it will get wrapped up in next 3 to 4 weeks' time.
What more can you tell us? You've obviously tied up with an international partner. Can you tell us the nature of this vaccine? There's been a lot of debate over mRNA vaccines versus adenovirus vaccines. Can you tell us which category of vaccine this would be, at least?
It will be difficult to mention there because we have a confidentiality agreement. And if I mention which vaccine, one can really judge that a few vaccines which are approved in India, actually.
Fair enough, but what about concerns over whether what the WHO now calls the Delta strain, which is, of course, the mutant strain that we are dealing with in India right now? The efficacy of vaccines against this has been a subject of some scrutiny. A United Kingdom study shows that one jab, for example, of Covishield only offers 33% efficacy, and two jabs together offer a little over 60% compared to Pfizer's 88%. And even now, a Lancet journal study has said that Pfizer shows 5 times less antibodies against the Delta strain. Now, you would know all of this. This is for our audience. Your vaccine, the vaccine that you're going to unveil, do you have any information on whether it works against the Delta strain, the mutation that we are battling in India?
I think the vaccine which we are discussing is roughly has 85 to 90% efficacy in 2 short doses. The data available on specifically Delta vaccine is under investigation, is not available. But I must say one thing basically. Okay, all vaccine, irrespective of whether it is 60% or 90% effective, to vaccinate oneself is much better than worry about the level of efficacy of each vaccine, because it gives a very high protection. And more importantly, as far as a very serious effect of pandemic is there, where one gets hospitalized, ICU, and people die, I think any vaccination will prevent these serious incidents, and literally the death rate reduces by more than 95% once one is vaccinated.
I think that's a very important point that you make. We cite this data as journalists, but the bottom line is everyone with any access to any vaccine must get vaccinated, because the idea is to try and save lives. And that at least all vaccines do offer protection against varying degrees of protection. Now, I heard you say in that answer, two short jabs. What I'm trying to understand is, and because there's been a lot of debate on what the gap should be between the two doses. The United Kingdom, for example, for Covishield is now recommending reducing the gap. In India, we haven't. The vaccine that Wockhardt is going to produce, do we take it that the gap between the two doses will be considerably less than the vaccines we've seen in India so far?
The recommended dose for the vaccine would be about 30 days, 4 to 6 weeks. And that is very normal for most of the vaccine, except in Covishield, where they have evidence in Lancet and other places. Okay, it can be given at the end of 12 weeks and it is equally effective, or in fact, it is slightly more effective at a longer period.
That's interesting. 30 days, 4 to 6 weeks is much shorter than what most people are having to wait right now. So that's good news. Where will this vaccine be manufactured? And I ask you this because there's been a lot of concern about scale and volume. Now, we need vaccines in the millions. We need to be vaccinating at least 10 lakhs of people every single day, and our vaccination rates are hovering under 3 lakhs. We need to be vaccinating at least 10 lakh people every day, so we need volume. In terms of volume, where does Wockhardt stand? We believe that you're going to roll out or manufacture in Maharashtra. Can you confirm that? And what sort of volume are you looking at, and what sort of timelines are you looking at?
Our vaccine will be manufactured in Aurangabad. That is where our main activity is there. Our research center is there. Our biological park is in Aurangabad. And that is where we would be manufacturing these vaccines. Second, we are planning to create a capacity of 500 million doses. And it is arrangement with the partner, and we would be supplying to the partner, and they would in return make it available.
What is your own view on indemnity for vaccine manufacturers? And the Delhi High Court recently used some very strong words to say that the untapped potential of vaccine manufacturers must be tapped into. And they also said that vaccine manufacturers need hand holding. The government must hold the hand of domestic Indian vaccine manufacturers right now. What sort of hand holding do companies like yours actually need at this time that would speed up both scale and ease of doing business?
At the very outset, one must recognize that making these vaccines is a fairly complex and long drawn out process in terms of technology, in terms of manufacturing. And frankly speaking, the government is, I think, doing their best under the circumstances. They are providing very active support in terms of regulatory pathways. It has been highly streamlined. They are also funding some of the research in vaccine clinical trials, and they are also providing funding for creating capacity. So I would say the government is making a great effort, but we must recognize that India needs about 2 billion, or that is about 200 crore vaccines for its population roughly. And worldwide, we had a capacity of only 2 to 3 billion before the pandemic occurred. So it takes time to ramp up the capacity, and it is very unique that the R&D research organization worldwide discovered the vaccine within 1 year of the pandemic. Normally, historically, vaccines were developed over 10 years to get into the market. And I think a great effort has been made in India and worldwide to manufacture and ramp up as fast as possible. So I believe the
There's been,
government is trying. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, you say the government is doing the best it can. There's
Uh,
been some debate over whether for.
Sorry, the government, see, it is availability of vaccine which is being challenged, because once the vaccine is a little more available in next 2 or 3 months, the 1 crore a day is what government's target is there to vaccinate people. And I think in the 6 to 8 months, I believe, from the production of various companies in India and the vaccine which are getting imported, I think we should be able to significantly vaccinate most of our population.
You believe that in 8 months we would have vaccinated most of the adult population? We're in June now.
Yeah, maybe 8 to 10 months, I would say yes, because the level of vaccine production in India is significant. We must recognize we have a very large population compared to other countries. And as the vaccination takes place, there would be a possibility that remaining people will not be as much exposed who are not vaccinated as are exposed today.
Do you mean that you're hoping for herd immunity without the vaccines?
There is a phenomena of herd immunity, but then you need to vaccinate about 70% plus population to develop herd immunity. And also that will be depending on community to community. So as you are saying, in some villages, vaccination is not taking place, and in that village, vaccination has not been high percentage. One will not expect in that area to have herd immunity. Even though in a country we might have done 70%, but it has to be seen that every community, that is a level of vaccination should take place in order to make sure that the remain, and at the same time, what is desirable, that I don't think government or anybody should rely on concept of herd immunity. They must vaccinate entire population to be very sure. But it gives some degree of protection. Let me put it to you that
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think vaccination induced herd immunity is actually what we should be striving for. Now, I'm told that your contract with this international company also involves the manufacturing of key drugs. And if you could reveal a little more details about that, we have now seen monoclonal antibodies in play. We've seen them mostly come from Roche in the United States of America. Could you share some details of what sort of COVID related drugs, especially because the science remains quite divided on the therapeutic drugs that should be used for COVID treatment?
To clarify that we are only going to make vaccine, and we do not have any other drug which is used for COVID treatment. But to elaborate a little bit on the science of managing COVID, I think all of us understand that this is an evolving science, because this is a new I mean, I mean, this virus which is spreading, and both the scientists and medical profession were trying to manage best. And as the experience changes, comes up, I think it is becoming better and better. And I must say, we have hospitals also, Wockhardt hospitals. And I must say today, the both science and the medical understanding of this virus and the spread of this new mutant has enabled the doctors to pinpoint correct treatment, and one is in much better position to save lives and manage the whole pandemic. But the new mutant, which you mentioned, Delta, has created new challenges in management.
I should ask you then in the end, thank you for that clarification. And Wockhardt, of course, does run hospitals. A lot of therapies that were being used earlier have been removed. So, for example, plasma therapy has been removed. Remdesivir, the WHO doesn't believe in. The WHO keeps saying do not use ivermectin. Even the pharma company that produces it says do not use it. Have you found, and you're right, it's an evolving science, that there were things that your hospitals were using in therapy that it has now totally changed its mind on your hospitals?
Like plasma therapy at the initial stage, everyone believed that it works. And we had a number of patients where we have administered plasma therapy. Today we are not doing it because the science has proved conclusively it does not work. Remdesivir, I'm not so sure. Still, medical profession believes that it is given at the right time. It is prevents seriousness. But if remdesivir used in the very serious cases, it does not work. But if it is given at the early or middle level stages of disease spread, it prevents serious disease to happen. So these are medical opinion which is evolving, and that is our chief medical scientist tells us.
Finally, Dr. Khorakiwala, what concerns you the most about what you see around you? I can tell you from being in the field, rural India worries me the most because I think it's completely uncovered, both in terms of counting the dead and counting even the people who get COVID don't often make it to hospital. The health infrastructure has never been great in our villages. What concerns you? What worries you the most about the second wave right now? Do you think the worst is over, or would you hesitate to declare it over right now?
I believe if you look at the curves of new cases and the death, both are new cases are declining very sharply. The death curve has not yet declined sharply because there is a lag of 2 to 3 weeks, and one should see as a consequence of that. And I think country got a wake up call with this virus and the mutant which has come Delta, and I think we will be much better prepared uh, if there is a when there is a third wave. And by that time, if a significant number of people gets vaccinated, I think I would say reasonably that the worst is behind us.
And to reiterate, you believe that in a period of, let's say, 8 to 10 months, we will have enough vaccines to have vaccinated most Indian adults. Let's say we're in June by February of 2022.
I would agree with that statement.
Before we close, what is the one thing that vaccine manufacturers and pharmaceutical companies like yours need? Is it less? Is it more speed in regulatory approvals? Is it raw? Is there an issue with raw material? What is it that you need right now when the court says companies like yours should be handheld?
The only challenge all of us have is availability of some raw materials, because the need of these materials have multiplied tenfold, and therefore raw material suppliers, vaccine people are trying to create a capacity for making vaccines. Similarly, raw material suppliers also have a challenge, which some of them are very key raw materials required to ramp up that capacity. So I think, but it is increasing this capacity. So that remains still a bit of a challenge to get an excess of the raw material.
Well, we wish you luck, and I think a lot of Indians will be happy to hear that there's a new vaccine. I know you can't say much, so after the details are revealed in 2 weeks from now, we'll call you back, and then maybe we can talk about it a little more openly. All the best, and Dr. Khorakiwala, we needed this good news. We need more vaccines. We need vaccines more desperately than anything we need right now. So we really wish you all the best with your venture. What will be the price of the vaccine? I must ask you that before I let you go. What will be the
Uh, it,
price?
it will be difficult to comment at this stage.
Okay, so we need to get you back in a fortnight from now so we can talk. We have a lot more questions and a lot you can't say right now. So we'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks when this announcement goes formal. Thank you and take care. Thank you. Bye, sir.
Yeah. Nice talking to you, and all the best to you in your efforts to create the
Thank you, sir.
awareness of the availability of vaccine in rural India.
Thank you, sir. God bless. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.